All right. Hello and welcome to an episode of Who Know in the Moment, the podcast. Today, I am honored to have Eric Devendorf with us. And a little bit about Eric, the Syracuse basketball star. And, a couple of things I've just grown to really respect about him as I've learned about his story and how he's gotten to where he's at is one, just his dedication and discipline to becoming great at basketball. And that's going to be transferable in so many areas of his life. But then second is his dedication to being a good father. We're here in his story today. He's had to make choices that have been sacrificial for him personally. So that way he can be a good dad and a good father to his kiddos. So Eric, thanks so much for being on, man.
I appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So to kick it off, even from a very young age, you loved basketball, and your neighbors maybe didn't love the fact that you love basketball. They would request that you waited until 6 a.m. To get outside and start shooting hoops. So talk a little bit about that, being young, loving the game.
Yeah, man, it really grew on me from a young age. My dad introduced it to me. I remember just watching basketball all the time. And I would get up before school. If there was snow out there, ice, I'd chip the ice and shovel the snow. And 5:30, get my shots up, then go to school and shoot before class. And then, after school, back in the gym. So that's really what I did growing up. I always had a ball in my hand, and, to and from school. And, I just remember loving the game at an early age. And that's what you have to do. You have to love the game. And it wasn't like a workout to me. It was something I enjoyed doing every single day. And it really helped me going forward, just falling in love with it at an early age.
Yeah. Now, was there anything that sparked you to realize, hey, I should get up early and I should, stay late? Or was that just something that you wanted to do? You were like, hey, if I can play basketball, I want to be playing basketball.
I remember ever since like second grade, maybe second, third grade, I was just always having that ball in my hand. I remember at lunchtime, and then I can't remember specifically what grade I started waking up early and doing it, but it was either between second and fourth grade, and just every day, man. I remember being obsessed with it. Doing calf raises in the basement, doing push-ups, and just getting up shots by myself. My dad would be out there obviously rebounding for me, after work and all that, and on the weekends he'd take me to all my games. But he introduced it to me, and from his love of the game, he kind of passed it on to me, and it kind of took on a whole life of itself. I didn't need anyone else from there. I had a lot of people, a few people along the way that really, helped me understand as far as what needs to be done to get better, as far as the fundamentals and things like that. And that kind of just even more so instilled that work ethic in me. It was like a challenge, learning new things and getting better at it. You see the progress, and that's what I kind of try to let these young kids know today is it's about the progress and seeing those results, those small results. So I fell in love with it at an early age and just continued on.
I love it, man. So as you get into high school, you're living in Michigan. And freshman through junior year, I mean, you start getting a lot of notoriety and you actually commit to Michigan State. So talk a little bit about just, when did you start really gaining a lot of traction in high school? And, what was that like to start getting, college attention at such a young age?
Well, I remember even early on, like in fourth grade, I was playing, AAU or travel ball with eighth grade teams, so I was always playing up. And then I remember getting into middle school, seventh, eighth grade. At that time, you couldn't play in high school. Like now I know these kids can play starting at the eighth, seventh grade or whatever, but we had to wait until high school. So, but it was talked about early on. I remember like just getting little letters from, out from Michigan. So like Central Michigan, Saginaw Valley, like little schools around the area when I was young, like in middle school. And then once I got into high school, my freshman year, I played JV for 4 games, and I think I averaged was like 45 points a game. So, and then I got moved up after those 4 games. And, I think I kind of made a name for myself, how I played early on. And then obviously when I went into the summer ball, it was a whole nother deal because you're traveling, people are seeing you, you're going against, other top players in other states and,
Right.
and competing heavy. So, that kind of put my name on the map. I think after the summer of my freshman year going into my sophomore year. And then, and that's when I kind of exploded my sophomore year. I think I averaged 20 something. And then my junior year, averaged like 34 or something. And then in between those years, going to like the All-American camps, getting invited to ABCD camps, and playing against Dwight Howard, Josh Smith, Sebastian Telfair, all the big names are at these camps. And I was there, at an early age in high school. And then after my junior year, I transferred, went to Oak Hill, played with KD, Tywan Lawson, Jamont Gordon, Casey Rivers, just to name a few, all D1 guys, high level guys. And I got a chance to play with big time players at a young age. So I was always used to that type of competition. And it was a fun journey.
Absolutely. Now, it's not easy as a junior in high school going into senior year with relationships, friends, right? To just pick up, move on out and be like, hey, I'm going to go to a completely different school for my senior year of high school. Was there anything about you that you're like, man, I don't know if I should do this? Or was it when the opportunity and idea came to be of like, hey, this is a great opportunity for you basketball wise, you were just like, I'm out of here?
Well, I mean, when I first, found out about Oak Hill and, the history and what type of school it was, and, how big of a powerhouse it was for basketball guys, it was really a no brainer. You know what I mean? I obviously had my friends and all that, but my focus was basketball. Like that's, my junior year, like you said, I committed to Michigan State early, my sophomore year, and I ended up decommitting and opening back up. But my junior year, that was when it was heavy. So, I think I committed to Syracuse. It might've been in my junior year or summer. I don't know, one of those two, but it was a no brainer for me, man. Like going to Oak Hill, and then I didn't know KD. I didn't know all those guys. I just knew I wanted to go and play against the best, and that's the school that it was at.
Absolutely. Now, just from a recruiting standpoint, obviously when you're getting recruited by the Michigan States and the Syracuse of the world, you're getting recruited by everyone. I mean, it's kind of your pick of where you'd like to go. What was it about, Coach Boeheim or Syracuse that really stood out to you that you're like, hey, this is where I'd like to be?
Just there. Well, actually, so I was at the Michigan State game when they played Syracuse in Breslin Center in 2003 when Syracuse won the national championship. And I remember just watching Melo and GMAC and those guys, the pace they play with, the up and down, kind of the freedom to be able to make plays by themselves and make plays for others. That's how I was playing. So and Michigan State was more so like a half-court team, and they really were a thorough, ran through the offense which is great. But I think I just felt I fit more at the, getting up and down, being able to, create off the dribble and things like that. So that's really how it all happened. When I saw them, I remember decommitting and then calling the Syracuse coach, and they flew down to Detroit when we had AAU practice, and they offered me a scholarship after practice, and that was kind of how it worked out.
I love it. Now, with your transition from your high school to Oak Hill, like you said, hey, at that time it was the pinnacle, right? I mean, there weren't as many, of these kind of kids going to random schools as there was at that time.
Right.
And so thinking about that, what were some things that you learned from a coaching standpoint or getting coach standpoint that you just hadn't picked up from your, AAU or high school routes previously?
Well, going to Oak Hill, Coach Smith is one of the greatest high school coaches of all time, regardless of level. So he really just, this is how it has to be done. It's here. He made sure that guys were organized. He's been dealing with super talented guys every single year, so he knows how to mesh them. He knows how to, make guys play together. But he really just structured it. Everything was organized. He ran it. It's like a college. It's ran like a college program. That's the type of talent he has every year anyway. So all the guys are, all D1 guys. So, but he does a great job. He's a player's coach. Like, he loves you. And, he's giving you tough love. He's going to get on you, but he's going to make sure that he invites you to the house for dinner. And his wife, Mrs. Smith, is going to, cook brownies and stuff like that. So it's family. When you go there, it's family. And that's how he treats you. And that's what makes it so special to go there.
Yeah, that's great. Well, there's one other really cool thing, and we grew up in a similar era, so Slam magazine is like the thing, right? I mean, if you're a baller and you weren't paying attention to Slam, like you had problems. But
Right.
you got to be the Slam diary guy for your senior year, which that's one of those things that as being growing up in that era and being a basketball fanatic, you were just, I mean, you couldn't wait for that thing to come out. You could run and get it. And, you'd always want to check out the new diary, but talk a little bit about just that, how that opportunity came to be and just how cool of an experience that was.
Yeah, I remember I was playing in the ABC camp and they probably saw me play there. And they reached out to my AAU coach. He told me about it. And like you said, everyone, knows what Slam is. So I was like, of course I want to do it. And we ended up doing it, all through my year at Oak Hill. So it was pretty cool. I got to talk about KD and all the guys on the team. And now looking back, where KD is at and what he's done, it's pretty special, man, to, have been a part of that journey as well. So, yeah, man, it was cool. It brought me a lot of recognition as far as, in the basketball scene. I remember being at ABCD camp and, they had the guy talking about Slam up top and he was like, hey, in our diary, holder or whatever is in here right now. And then everyone turns and looks like who, and it was, obviously it was me. So from then on, everyone's trying to go that much harder at me.
Yeah.
The rest of the camp. But I mean, I loved it. That's why I played. I loved the competition. And no, it was fun. It was awesome to be a part of. I still have all those slams for sure.
Heck yeah, that's so cool. So transitioning into college, even playing at a, prep academy like an Oak Hill, the transition from high school athletics to college is just a little bit different, right? I mean, guys, everyone's got a little bit more talent, the speed's there. But, for you come in and you get an opportunity early on to, make an impact. Just talk a little bit about that progression from you, from jumping from high school into college and what that looked like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was always a confident player.
Yeah.
I loved the competition, so I was going to go in there and I expected to play. I mean, I was a McDonald's All-American, so I was coming in, highly recruited, and I was looking to get playing time anyway before I even stepped on campus. So me going on there, I know I had to compete. I had some older guys ahead of me, and I remember by the fourth game, I was starting as a freshman. So I remember at one time asking GMAC, like before the season, Jerry McNamara, like what's the difference? He was like, nothing's different. You go out there and you just play ball how you play, and that's how and everything is gonna work out. And he wasn't lying, man. If you're a competitor and if you go out there and you don't quit and you give everything you got, usually good things happen. And I was pretty happy with how my Syracuse career turned out. It was I had a great time. I had a blast.
I love it. So even getting opportunity early on, were there any memorable headbutting experiences with either, coach or players on the team? I mean, you're a pretty passionate guy, so I got to imagine not everyone's as fired up or as passionate all the time as you are. And you might have to try and bring that out of them sometimes.
No, I mean, we had a lot of passionate guys from the coaches to the players. I mean, Coach Hop, he was super passionate. I mean, super emotional. Coach Boeheim is one of the most competitive guys you'll come across, GMAC. And then, going down the line, I had Johnny Flynn, who was, the same type of guy as me as far as being passionate and competitive. I mean, we had a lot of guys who were like that. I mean, there was a lot of trash talking going on in practice. It was a lot of guys, face to face getting at it like that. Me and Coach, we've been back and forth at it before, whether it's just he's taking me out, I don't want to get took out, whatever it is, it's nothing personal. It's guys being super competitive at a super high level, playing against super high competition, and you need to be that way. You have to have that chip on your shoulder. You got to play with that fire, because if not, then you're going to get rammed by, because somebody else is playing with that fire and playing with that. And I mean, that's what I tell people all the time. You don't have to be the most skilled or most talented. If you go as hard as you can, you're going to make some stuff happen, because not everybody want to do that, and the guys who are really great, they're skilled, talented, and they go hard as they can. You know what I mean? So, I loved it, man. It was, I remember Coach stopping practice a few times, but he'll let guys go for a little bit and then he'll break it up. It's just the nature of the game, man. Like, when you're doing something that you love and you're a highly competitive person, those stuff, it better happen.
Right.
Because if something's wrong, if it doesn't, you're going to butt heads. Same in the business world. If you guys are trying to come up with an idea, you're going to go back and forth on things a lot. You know what I mean? Yep. I think we should do this. I think we should do that. You're going to bump heads. But at the end of the day, you want the good for the whole project. So you're going to make sure you could come together and figure it out. So, same thing in sports, man. That's why we play. We play to win, and competitiveness and emotion and passion comes along with it.
Absolutely. Now, getting to play for a legendary coach like Coach Boeheim, are there any specific principles that he would teach you guys as a team, or as maybe even an individual that, you've transcended that just into, personal life post basketball that really stand out to you?
I think just poise, composure. Like, he was never, frazzled, so to speak, in the huddle. Like, he was writing a play up, whether we up 20 or down 2, with so much time left. He was always composed, and he always got the play across to where people knew what to do. You go here, you be here, you space out, whatever it is. He always got that point across. And I think that's what makes him one of the greatest coaches of all time, because he never let the pressure of the moment get to him. He could always keep that clear mind and that clear head. And not a lot of people can do that. You see players, go out there in the moment and they get the ball and now they forget what they were even supposed to do, So,
yeah.
I think that really rubbed off on the players. It rubbed off on me. I think in going in life, dealing with situations, you need to be able to have that patience and that composure, right? To deal with situations and be able to, react in the right way. We got to be able to sit down and chill and think about, all right, how do I got to go about this, rather than just react to it right away and make a bad decision. So he definitely gave me a lot of that. And I think even when I left Syracuse and as I got older, I was a better player just because I knew how to be calm under pressure. I knew how to handle the ball under pressure and still be able to make decisions. So I thank him a lot for being able to give that to me.
Absolutely. Now, another thing that's always interesting, right? So you talked about, hey, I'm a McDonald's All-American, man. Like, I'm at the pinnacle of, the basketball scene at my level. Well, each year Syracuse is bringing in McDonald's All-Americans, right? And there's a little bit of us that we have egos, right? Hey, I'm good and I know it. And, you get too many people that feel that way. And oftentimes to start with, there can be some conflict, but, were there things that you guys did that really brought everyone together and, quickly allowed you to kind of mold, opposed to feeling like, man, I should be playing, but Eric's got the minutes and I don't have them. Talk a little bit about that and just getting guys to, mesh and get on the same page for the ultimate team goal.
Well, we always, hung out off the court. Guys were doing stuff, going out, at night and doing stuff off the court, going to breakfast, things like that. So we already had that camaraderie. And then, everyone came from a similar situation as far as, like you said, being a McDonald's All-American, being the best player at their school. So we have that commonality right there, being basketball players and having already felt that type of, pressure being a basketball player at a high level. So I don't think it really took a lot for guys to understand, like, hey, we're coming in here and to win. And if we win, then everyone does well, so I didn't take a lot, and Coach was great at that. I really never, dealt with anything like that, guys being selfish or playing selfish. If you know how to play basketball, you're going to play the right way. You're going to make the extra pass. You're going to make sure you box out. You're going to talk, make sure your teammate knows what's going on. And guys wanted to win first and foremost. So you got to do the right things to win. And again, Coach did a great job of letting everyone know, like, hey, this is what I need you to do. And if you didn't do it, he was going to let you know anyway. That really wasn't our, thing to deal with. It was, we got to go out there and play as hard as we can and make sure we execute what Coach wants us to do. If you don't, then you're going to hear from him, not us, So we really didn't even have to deal with that. I never even, had really any issues.
Oh, that's good. Now, early on, you were doing crazy workouts, getting up early, getting workouts in. In college, there's a little bit just more of an expectation. And I'm sure at Oak Hill, it was the same way that you're getting that in. But talk a little bit about just kind of like your daily routines of what you were doing to, still continue to progress and get better above and beyond just, a typical day of practice.
So as far, you mean in college?
Yeah.
So, you'd wake up, you'd have a morning workout, on the court. Then you'd have class. till probably 11:30 noon. You get some lunch. After that, you go right to the gym. You get hour and a half early, get your treatment, get your, extra shots up. And then you have practice. After practice, you can say, after get some shots. Same thing, get treatment, ice, eat, and then by that time it's, 7:30, you go training table. That's it. I mean, for the study table, and then it's 9 o'clock, 9:30 and then you're done for the day.
Right.
That's every day. That's what it is every day. You gotta, and I think that's huge for kids coming up and just people in general, that you have to be able to know how to manage your time. You got to be able to like prioritize what needs to be done in order to achieve the goal or whatever it is you're trying to do. I think that's a lot of people. It's hard because they want to do it, but then they get caught up going over here and doing this over there when it really doesn't even, it's not adding to anything to what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? So
right.
I learned that early on, how to try to manage your time and get the best out of your day. And, it's good. Right now I wake up early. I make sure I do what I got to do as far as my routine. And then, I get on with my day. So it just, it makes it easier when you're able to, get the stuff done that helps you out.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I think, one thing that has helped me in my life is, and I kind of use this phrase, I say no to what I want so I can say yes to what I want most. Right. How often do you say yes to things that you're like, I really don't care about this, or I kind of want that, but now I don't have time to do the thing that I really want the most in life. And so I think that's an important part of, balancing, all right, what am I saying yes to? What am I saying no to? But how am I using my time too?
Yeah. And it's uncomfortable. It's because it gets us out of our, habitual human nature, I guess, to kind of make it easy, want it to be easy, and that's not really how it is. You got to be able to get uncomfortable with things sometimes and get outside of your routine, and for the better of you, and when you're better, you can help others better,
Yep. So I got to highlight one game, which is probably one of the most iconic college basketball games of all the time. I think I had to stay up until like 1 a.m. in the morning to watch the damn thing. But the 6 OT, the 6 OT game, talk a little bit about that. I mean, I'm sure like some of it's a blur, but I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of it that's just vivid because of there's not many games that you'll ever play like that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like the greatest game of all time. I tell everyone that. I mean, that period, we're not going to argue about it or anything. That's just what it is.
Yes, facts. Hey, I'll stay up that.
100%. So it was all set up. I mean, it was Madison Square Garden, New York City, Big East tournament. We're playing against UConn, Syracuse. That's our rival. It all starts with Boeheim and Calhoun. So everything is like set up to a T to be perfect. And then, you got myself, AJ Price, Johnny Flynn, Paul Harris, The Beat, Kemba Walker, Jeff Adrian. So like you got all those matchups happening. And again, we go back to guys competing at a super high level, guys getting emotional and passionate about it. So it's a lot of that going on too.
Yeah.
And then, we're neck and neck the whole game. Big shots are happening. Obviously my shot at the end when I made it, I thought it counted. Jumped on the scores table, and then we got to do it again. And then you go 1, 2, 3, and then Andy Rollins hits a huge 3 in the third overtime to bring it into the fourth. And it was just so much. It was everything you wanted in a basketball game. It was big shots. It was emotion. It was passion. It was guys talking to each other. It was physical. It was guys missing shots, getting their rebounds, going back up, getting fouled, being strong. Like it was just. It was a basketball game that you couldn't take your eyes off. It had everything involved in it. And then, to be able to, after the game is done with, be able to go to your hotel room and see it as an instant classic on ESPN. It's pretty incredible, man. It's a game that will be talked about forever. I mean, I hear it all the time being here in Syracuse.
Yeah.
And then to have a crucial part in it, to be a part of it, it's awesome, man. It's a cool feeling. It's something that I'll remember forever. And it's in history.
Yes. So many people remember that game for forever. It was just, it was an immaculate game.
Yes, absolutely.
So in our college years, you get the opportunity to become a dad. You become a dad in college. And, as if class and playing basketball is not enough. That's another, item on the docket. Talk a little bit of just about being able to balance all that. Cause I mean, once again, the first two things are not easy, let alone, becoming a dad.
Yeah, it was definitely different. I mean, again, it made me grow up a little bit quicker. We talked about time management. It made me prioritize a lot of stuff, got class, making sure, I'm seeing my baby girl, and then, practice and going back to seeing her. So a lot of the time that I had early on, was given to her, and where I'm at now, it helped me grow as a person. It helped me, grow up and mature. Knowing that I have two girls, 12 and 10, or 13 and 10.
Yeah.
And, they rely on me, for a lot of things, and obviously they're getting in their teenage years, but, it's a blessing to be able to have them, to watch them grow, and, see a lot of the characteristics that you had as a kid. You see it in them. Like I told you, my oldest is, she's an athlete, and just to watch her move, not even playing the game or practice, you could just see her movements and how she moves. And she's an athlete. Like, if she wanted to do it, she could do it. She could be real good at it. So, and then my youngest, she's a cheerleader, and it's cool to watch them have fun and be happy. And it changed me for the better. And early on in my college years, I had a lot of ups and downs. And I think, having my girls really helped me, figure all that stuff out. And it was for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. So with having kiddos, you decided to enter the NBA draft. And you say, hey, I got to do this. It's going to give the opportunity for me to generate some money for my family. And talk a little bit about just, going through the process of, leaving school and entering the draft, and then, what comes after that.
Yeah. So, like you said, I want to be able to go make some money for my family. I remember after the draft, went through all the draft workouts, getting in trouble earlier that year didn't help me with the process. As far as all that, when it comes to the NBA, the littlest things can separate you, and because everybody's good, everybody's talented.
Right.
I did good. I felt I did great at my workouts. So I ended up not getting drafted, and going overseas, and, being able to experience that and go overseas and make money, and, experience a different culture. I played for 7 years, been to Turkey, New Zealand, Australia, Italy, Ukraine, Russia, Greece. So I've been to some cool places, met some cool people, and, that's kind of where my path took me, and everybody's path is different. And, the NBA is a business. So, it's a lot of stuff that factors in, to be able to get into the NBA. And do I believe I was good enough? No question. I know I was. Like, skill wise, I played against all those guys, in summer, and some of my good friends are in the NBA. So, but it is what it is. And my path was different. And, I learned a lot. I'm happy with where it's going, and I want to continue to, see where it's going to take me.
Absolutely. So talking a little bit about playing overseas, each one of those locations probably has a different style of basketball. I think that's something that gets a little bit overlooked when you talk about the international game. It itself has a different style than what we typically play in the States. And I'm sure just amongst those different spots that you got to play. So talk a little bit about, your game, but then meshing in with these teammates when, you don't necessarily have a ton of time to get, group together. You don't know these guys from previously, and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think just overseas period would be a little bit more physical, a little bit more half court. Yeah. In some countries it's more fast paced, but more so half court. I think guys, they aren't as athletic as we are over here.
Yeah.
So they try to slow the game down, and guys are much more fundamentally sound at an early age over there, know the game, think the game a little bit better. We're just able to get by with our athleticism and stuff like that. But I mean, I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed playing over there. I had a lot of success in those countries. It's tough. Some places you go, they don't want to give you all your money. I mean, guys run into situations like that all the time, but I've made some lifelong friends over in New Zealand and Australia. Like, I'll go over those places again, just because the relationships that I established, while playing over there. So, I mean, I enjoyed my time. I could tell stories that people will never even, be able to experience, like I've been to 10 different countries, whatever it is. And a lot of people don't leave their city. So I was able to experience some pretty cool things.
Yes, absolutely. Now, as you're transitioning back from playing internationally overseas, you say, hey, I want to go and finish my degree at Syracuse. And you talked about a specific meditation class that just, allows you to just change a bit. So talk a little bit about just what you learned there and, how that's impacted you.
Yeah, I had a teacher when I was, in Syracuse playing. And when I came back, she was offering this meditation class. So I ended up taking it when I was coming back, finishing up my courses, and it really helped me out going forward. I mean, I already had a pretty good relationship with her, but this one really, strengthened it and helped it a lot. She helped me with just patience and focus, and meditation is basically being able to see your thoughts or just see it, breathe in, breathe out, and be patient with it, be still, and it helps you with your focus, like I said, and your patience. And I really took to it. I do it every day, and she just helped me with talking me through it, and we journal it out. Things like that, man. It could be life changing if you focus and be consistent with it. I think and that's with anything. You want to be able to discipline yourself, and it changed my eating habits. Like I eat like all plant based, so it just helped me be more conscious of myself and be aware of what I put in my body and the things that I think and the things that I do. Yeah. And I think it's helped me. It's a work in progress. I mean, I'm still going to be, I'll make a mistake. I'll do some dumb stuff, but, I'm able to get back and focus and on what's really important.
That's great. So as you're back now, done playing, you get the opportunity to start coaching at Syracuse. But, one of the things that stuck out to me was you had mentioned, hey, my dad had a desire for me to maybe, coach one day, but specifically at Syracuse. And he passed in 2016, and you then got the opportunity to coach. So talk a little bit about that, man. I mean, obviously that's difficult. And then but also getting that opportunity to kind of fulfill, a dream or a wish that he had for you too.
Yeah, I mean, he was always there for me, like growing up. Like he, like I said, he was the one who introduced the game to me, and he was taking me on all my, AAU trips, and he was the one there for me, and my mom as well. But I had two sisters, so she was there, with them. So it was mainly my dad. And then they, all my games, they try to get as much as they can in college, and then they've been to a few when I was at Oak Hill. So it was good to be able to, do something that would have made him proud. And he was proud. I know he was proud anyway. He loved watching me play. That's what he loved to do. He told everybody about it when he was at work. I know because people would tell me, he would always talk about you and just, he had this, he did that. So I know I made him proud, and it was cool to be able to, get back on staff and coach somewhere where I played. And yeah, if he would have been around, he definitely would have, been super happy about it.
Yeah. Now, when I transitioned from playing college basketball to coaching, standing behind that line is a much different feeling than standing within the lines. Talk a little bit about that transition for you, and maybe some things that as you got to watch the game from a coach's standpoint, you were like, man, I wish I would have maybe listened a little bit more to this piece of advice from a coach.
No, absolutely. You definitely see the things it slowed down. You watch a lot more film.
Yeah.
You see what guys are really doing, even though they don't think they are doing it. You could show them.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes you want to get out there and show them yourself, but you can't. So it's a whole different process. Guys learn different than you do. So how you're explaining it, they take it differently. So you got to kind of figure ways how to. What type of learner is he? Is he a guy I could tell and he could figure it out, or is he a guy I got to go out there and show, so he can see it? So it's damn near psychology, it is psychology being a coach, because you got to figure out, like, how can I teach this guy the best way where he can understand it, and communication is key. I think when you communicate in a good way with guys, that gives them confidence, and now that gives them, the ability to learn it faster and get things done, at a quicker pace going forward. So I enjoyed it, man. That's what I do now. I have my own business, and ED2-3 hoops, and all ages. So you got to be patient with it, because like you said, you'll have people who never played before and people who have a lot of experience. So it's different. You got to be able to switch it up, and it's a challenge, but I'm the type of guy who likes that stuff. I like to try to figure it out, and what better way to do it than basketball?
You betcha. Outside of the 6 OT game, for you personally, what is your favorite game that you ever played in that you just felt like, hey, I really was just in the moment owning the game? And it could be high school, it could be college, it could be, internationally, whatever one.
Oh man. It was a few. I remember it was one at Villanova. I had like 34 or something, but I was shooting the heck out of the ball. I remember it was probably one in high school. I remember I had 50 something, but I was getting to the line. I got to the line like 25 times. I remember just going to the basket, no one could stop me. I just kept going.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the games that far back that I remember. It was an NIT game, South Alabama. I had a few of them, man. As a competitor, when you feel that, you can start hitting those shots from anywhere. Like I said, confidence is crazy. That confidence can take you to a whole nother level. And, you didn't really need a lot to get me fired up, but, a couple shots go down, then you're feeling good, and it's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. Now, growing up for you, were there any players or any one or two players that you were like, this is the person that, I would like to emulate, or I'd like to be like?
Well, my favorite player was Allen Iverson.
Yes.
He was all heart, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like 5'11", 6 foot, 175, just going in there banging. And that's how I, kind of modeled my game. I get in there, I play with the contact, I could hang and finish. And he was a guy who was getting hit down, beat up, knocked down, and get right back up, and go right back at you and do the same thing. And I loved it. I loved his tenacity. I loved his attitude. I loved his whole swag, how he carried himself on the court. He was super confident, and I tried to emulate that style in that play.
Yeah. Outside of yourself, best trash talking teammate you played with, best trash talker you played against?
Johnny Flynn, no question. He's the best teammate. He was on par with me. He was at you. Like, if he was gonna let you know.
Yeah.
And that made it fun to play with him for sure. Against man, who is it? AJ Price, Kevin Walker, like AJ Price, like that. He was a guy that always talked. The Pittsburgh team, like,
yeah,
they had some guy, Levance Fields. They wouldn't be, Georgetown, like, it was teams with me, like guys were trying to gang up, you know what I mean? So,
well, not any one of them could rival you, so it took a whole team effort, right?
Exactly. So that's what I love, man. I love that. I love the competitiveness. Guys were, if you took it personal, then I don't know what to tell you. Guys were out there competing hard, and some things were said, but it was all part of the game.
Absolutely. Well, the thing that's cool for me now to see in your life and what you're doing is, there are obviously so many people that poured time and effort into helping you get to where you're at. They're people you looked up to. And now you get to do that and be that for so many kids and athletes. So, I just do nothing but encourage you to just keep doing what you're doing, man. There's so many people that, look up to you, and you're an inspiration to them. They say, hey, man, if Eric is doing it, I want to be like him. So they're going to work hard too.
I appreciate that, man. I try to, help and motivate these young kids, and, just try to inspire them to do something good. Like, sports translates a lot off the floor into life, the habits and the things that you learn, being disciplined, being consistent, focusing in, listening, all that stuff translates off the court into life. And I try to tell these kids that. And then it's pretty cool to see them, when you tell them something and then you see them do it, you see them get better at it. Like, it's inspiring for me, to be able to see that and to know that you help somebody, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We got to help each other out. You got to get back. There's a lot of people struggling out here, may not be a multi-millionaire or whatever it is, but I have everything that I need. And lucky and blessed to be able to have a platform to where, you know, I could share this knowledge with people to where hopefully it helps them and they could do the same thing for somebody else.
I love it, man. Well, Eric, I appreciate you being on the show today, brother. It was fun. As promised, your story is fascinating. It's so cool to see where the orange ball has taken you and all the opportunities it's presented you with, and all the things you stepped up and stepped into.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. It was cool. Definitely.